Welcome everyone to the Exam 2 recap video. Last I checked, and there are still some grades coming in, but it was a little bit low. The overall average was a little bit lower than 57. That's a little bit higher than 57. It's hovering right around 57 or so. So that's where we're thinking that it will land close to anyway. When we break down the exam scores based on how much homework folks are doing, similar to what we did for exam 1, kind of the normal trend appears, right? Obviously doing more of the Webwork homework and everything correlates to higher exam scores. Overall, I would say that exam 2 scores, knew that these were going to be lower, that the content does build on itself, and they are more difficult questions than exam 1. So we knew that we were going to take a bit of a hit. And likewise, we do see this right in the outcomes here. And just kind of as a heads up, we do expect that for exam 3, that the scores for exam 3 should be higher than the scores for exam 2. So I'm hoping that that's the case, and that's indeed what comes true. Still, when we look at the overall grades, though, things are going very well. I know that, of course, the exams are a high-stress situation and everything, and so sometimes folks don't perform as well as they would like, and I understand that. Still, when we look at the overall grades, for instance, there are 250 people who are averaging like a 3.5. Of course, this is an average, so some are certainly in the 4.0 range and some are lower than this, but still, that's a lot of people doing very, very well. Quite pleased with that. And likewise, there's 270 people who are averaging very close to a 3.0. So grades overall in the class, when you take into consideration the attendance, the participation, the homework, all that sort of stuff, are quite good. But yeah, of course, I'd love to have the exams, the averages go up a bit. That being said, we are making 3 changes for exam 3. It's funny that those numbers line up, but the first thing that we're going to be doing is that we would like to increase the amount of time for the exams from 60 minutes to 80 minutes. We've gotten a fair number of emails, and we agree that giving more time is probably a good thing. So we'd like to go ahead and do that. Of course, you don't have to necessarily use that time. If you're done, in 60 minutes, you can still submit the exam in 60 minutes and you don't have to sit there or anything like that. But for those who want to double check their work, who want to be extra careful about entering things into their calculator or things like this, I think the 80 minutes will be overall, a net positive. A second thing that we want to do, and that folks have been reaching out about, is that we realize that the amount of things that you have to plug into your calculator, the amount of kind of algebra or arithmetic that you have to do in evaluating some of this stuff was overly burdensome on exam 2. And looking back at that, I would agree with this. And so we're going to be, applying some extra effort for exam 3 to be very, cognizant of exactly what you have to input into your calculator and exactly, I guess, how much non-calculus stuff you need to do in order to solve the question. Some of it's, right, you can't really get away from it. I mean, there's sections like, in exam 2, 14.1, where there is just no calculus. But anyway, that's kind of going down a different path. We're going to be paying extra special attention to exam 3 and for the final exam about how much stuff you have to enter into your calculator and whatnot. So we'll be paying extra attention to that. And then finally, the third thing that we'd like to try is that for exam 1 and exam 2, there were a handful of students anyway who've reached out and said that, having the Webwork homework due on the night of the exam creates extra hardships. And certainly our intent was that, before you take the exam, that you need to get the Webwork homework done. And pedagogically, right, that makes a lot of sense. And so what was suggested on Piazza is that actually having the Webwork homework due the Wednesday, the day before the exam, would be overall a better system. And so we're going to go ahead and try that out. Of course, there'll be some extra announcements and whatnot, because normally our homework's due on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. So we'll need to make sure that we announce it extra and all that sort of stuff, so that way no one kind of forgets about this. But yeah, I think that's probably a good change as well, just so that way it really helps encourage everyone to get the Webwork homework done and be extra prepared for taking the exam. So those are the three things that we're going to be changing kind of moving forward. There's some other questions and stuff that I already see are popping up on Piazza. Make sure that you check that if you have any other lingering questions that I didn't cover. Otherwise, thank you very much, guys, and I will talk to you later.